I'm Zaji, and over the last few seasons, there have been so many different ways of getting around the map, whether it be environmental sources, like rifts and air vents, items like launch pads and gliders, or vehicles, like ATKs and quad crashers. However, in Chapter 2, there has been a distinct lack of mobility options available to players, with near enough every quick way of getting around the map being removed. And with the Fortnite playbase becoming so accustomed to being able to get around the map quickly, the lack of mobility has led to a lot of frustration from players, with players dying to the storm at a rate not seen since the early seasons of Fortnite. With the boats and swimming being the only new way of getting around the map, this has led to widespread speculation that there will be a brand new form of transportation coming to the game, with some believing that there have been clues left in plain sight since the start of Chapter 2. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what this new way of getting around the map could be, whether it's needed, and how exactly it could work. So when it comes to mobility in Fortnite, it really has gone full circle over the course of the last 2 years. During the early seasons, Epic claimed that they didn't believe that vehicles would be a good fit for the game, claiming that the map simply wasn't big enough. However, after initially testing the water with the shopping carts, they then went on to introduce many vehicles to the game, such as ATKs, ballers, and even planes. Just look at Season X, when there were the quad crashers, driftboards, and the infamous brutes. But mobility wasn't restricted to just vehicles, as we also had launch pads, shockwave grenades, gliders, and grapple guns, all of which made it incredibly easy to travel across the map quickly, so the days of dying to the storm were long gone. But then we saw the arrival of Chapter 2, which brought with it the removal of all the vehicles and mobility items, which I think surprised a lot of people. This has made Chapter 2 feel more boots to the ground, reminiscent of the earliest seasons of Fortnite. And with all the mobility items and vehicles removed, many would have expected there to be many new vehicles added to the game to replace them. But so far, we've only seen the boats introduced, which in fairness are very effective forms of transport when you're in the water. However, as soon as you get on the land with the boats, they're far less effective, which is understandable. But because of this, if you find yourself far away from the circle, and there aren't any boats or areas of water to travel in, then it can be really difficult to get to the circle. As a result of this, we've seen people dying to the storm at a far higher rate than in previous seasons, which has frustrated many. But it seems inevitable that we will get some new vehicles added sooner rather than later, which has gotten people speculating that there will be a brand new vehicle added this season. But what exactly could we see introduced? Well, as I'm sure you've all seen by now, dotted all over the map, there are many new cars that weren't in the game previously. So people are speculating that these could one day become drivable. And this is an idea that I can actually get behind, as it wouldn't be the first time Fortnite has done something like this. Just look back at what happened with the shopping carts. For a long time, you could find them all over the map, but just like the cars now, they couldn't be used. Until one day, out of nowhere, Epic made them rideable. So it isn't out of the realms of possibility that this could happen to the cars as well. But when that would happen, I don't think anyone has any idea, as Epic are just so unpredictable. But if these cars do end up becoming drivable, on the face of it, they look like they could be a really valuable part of the game. I mean, they don't have rockets or turrets, they don't have a protective shield over them, and you'd assume that players could be shot whilst driving them. In fact, they could be similar to the ATKs, which were probably the most balanced vehicles ever added. We don't need them to be insanely fast, but as long as the cars are quicker than running, then I really do believe that they would be a welcomed addition to the game. Because at this moment in time, you can't land at the edge of the map without risk of dying to the storm. And if you're unlucky with the circle, it means you have to move early. And because of this, it means you have less time to loot and harvest, which puts you at a real disadvantage against those who are more fortunate. Also, with there being such a lack of mobility, it makes it so much harder to get away from storm fighters, which I'm sure we've all had to deal with at some point this season. Dying in the storm because somebody decided to fight you when you're just trying to get to the circle has become a way too common occurrence this season. At least it has in my experience. Don't get me wrong, I do think that there needs to be a limit to how much mobility is available to players. Like in seasons past, I do believe that there was way too much. Planes, for example. made it way too easy to get to the circle and make it to the end game. And then the quad crasher glitch meant you could literally fly across the map in seconds. All of this led to third partying becoming a real issue. So with the removal of all of this mobility, it would be assumed that third partying would be far less prominent this season. However, as I'm sure you're all aware, third partying is just as regular as ever before. And I think a big reason for that is that people have gotten so much more confident and used to doing it, that as soon as a fight starts, you'll get everyone nearby running straight towards you. Except now, there's no real way of getting away from them. You simply have to fight or you'll die. And in some ways, this is a good thing, as personally, I found players being able to instantly use a rift to go and run away from you to be a majorly annoying part of the game in previous seasons. However, getting jumped on by multiple people as soon as you start fighting is also really annoying to deal with, so it's important to be able to strike the right balance. Whether it turns out that these cars become drivable or not, it doesn't really matter, but it is important that what we do inevitably get is right for the game and balanced, as if we get anything like the planes and the brutes, then that will bring a ton of new problems to the game that I'm sure none of us want to deal with again. So fingers crossed that Epic do have something good up the sleeve. So, do you think that these cars will end up drivable? And if you could bring back one vehicle from Chapter 1, which would it be? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you want to support me as a content creator, then feel free to use my creator code, which is on the screen now. So anytime you buy something in the item shop and use my code, it will go directly towards supporting the channel, which would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you next time for another video. Goodbye.